What's up guys, and welcome back to the Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon speculation video, and today we are going to talk about Colress. Now, Colress did make an appearance in Sun and Moon after initially there was speculation when the games were coming out that it was going to be like an Aether Foundation Colress because we saw some links in design and whatnot. Didn't turn out to be the case. He was just sort of in the region doing some research, particularly into the Z moves and the bond between the trainer and stuff like that to bring out the power of Pokemon. But we saw him, I think, a couple times in the game. Once he just gave us a TM initially. I think you can find him in the post game, and he gives you the cannons or whatever they might be called for Genesect, and then he also directs you towards the battle tree. And if you go to the battle tree, you can battle him. Who would have guessed? So that's sort of the appearance he makes in the game, and that's it, And that's all we get there. So it's possible he could return, making a little appearance there again, as we've discussed in previous videos. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon seems to be like a retelling or an update of Sun and Moon, so if it's an update, it makes sense that stuff that's there originally is going to be updated almost, and it's stuff maintained basically, so that he wouldn't be removed. It's possible he gets removed because he was just a little Easter egg and he served the purpose, but at the same time it's possible he returns and plays a bigger role. And the main reason for this is, of course, if we look at the mascots for the games, of course, we see that we have, as we're referring to them, Ultra Solgaleo and Ultra Lunala, which are clearly Solgaleo and Lunala fused in some aspects, in some way, with Necrozma. So Necrozma's parts have been put onto Solgaleo or Lunala's body. Now, of course, we don't know what this is yet. We don't know whether it's actual fusion or whether it's an armor, because, of course, Necrozma's ability is Prism Armor. Makes sense. But fusion seems like a good guess, because it's something we've seen before in the past. We've seen with, obviously, Kyurem, Zekrom, and Reshiram. So if they were to sort of bring the mechanic back and just add an extra function to it, I don't think many people would really complain about that. Gives the DNA splicers another usage, and it's not like this item you keep having to bring back in every game that has almost no purpose. At least it's got a bit of extra usage there. So that's one option. And of course, if that is the case, it is possible that Colress could be related to the main story in those sort of ways. Because of course, if we remember where the DNA splicers originally came from, Black 2 and White 2, they were introduced and used to split up Kyurem and fuse them and whatnot. They have returned obviously in subsequent games, mostly just by like random NPCs being like, oh look, here's some DNA splicers, take them, and that's really it. So we could see the DNA splicers being brought back in these games, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, in a bit more of an involved way. So for example, if we find out that, oh my god, we have to, we got Solgaleo, but it can't defeat the Ultra Beasts on its own. I'm making up a storyline as I go here. We need to fuse it with Necrozma, because that's what the old tales say, but we can't fuse it. We don't know what to happen, we know what to do. And Colress could then come along and say, aha, I have these DNA splicers, because, it makes sense. He's Generation 5 character, he was involved with the DNA splicers to some extent, because, of course, he would have known about them and had to use them, well, not use them, but know the knowledge and the logic behind them to be able to help out Team Plasma to fuse them together. However, he didn't originally invent the DNA splicers or anything along those lines. The DNA splicers actually originally come from Drayden, one of the gym leaders in the Nova region, and he says they were passed down his family for generations. So obviously linking into the original dragon. So that's all three of them put together. So maybe it functioned as a way to split them apart, something along those lines. We don't know. Anyway, so Drayden had them originally, and they were sold by Team Plasma. So it's not as crucially linked as Colress invented them, so Colress should be the one to bring them in. But you could see, of course, we haven't seen a Generation 5 game in the current Mega Universe, or the current Ultra Universe, as I guess we'll have to call it with the new games. Simply because the games haven't been remade yet, so we don't know exactly how the storyline goes down in those games. We can imagine it be very similar. We can imagine it has happened as well, because Auras happened pretty much the same way, stuff like that. So you can imagine that the remakes will follow the same sort of structure as Black, White, and then Black 2 and White 2. So you can imagine that Colress will also be involved with Team Plasma, and he'll be involved with DNA splicers and Kyurem and Reshiram and Zekrom in some extent there. So it's possible that at the end of because obviously at the end of the game you end up with the DNA splicers, I'm pretty sure, Black 2 and White 2. So possibly in the end, it's not going to happen, because even in the remakes you would end up getting them too, because you need to use them. But it's possible that Colress knew how to make them, so decided to either make them again or took them away. and then he can end up coming to Unova and try to redeem himself. Basically, he wasn't inherently a bad guy, he was just trying to study the power of Pokemon, and sort of he backed off of Team Plasma to do that, which isn't the best thing to do because obviously they didn't really do nice things, but it furthers his research. So he's not inherently a bad guy, but he has served as a form of antagonist. So yeah, he could turn out to be a good guy in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, for example, help out with the DNA splices, stuff like that, and he could just link in some ways there. Of course, other ways he could return could just be a similar role to what he has currently, you know, gives you the cannons for Genesect, also appears in the battle tree if that is to return, and yeah, that's basically it for him, as well as giving you a TM. He could basically just return it in the same sort of capacity as before, nothing too different, or he could have a slight update there. So I figured I'd just talk about Colress and see what possibilities could open up for him. If you guys have any ideas, let me know down below in the comment section. Do you think he should actually be a member of a foundation? Because that would be another thing you could talk about. You know, him actually having to, or being part of the foundation. So say it's an updated version, say Colress actually came to the region a few years before and ended up joining up with a foundation and helping them with their research on the Ultra Beasts, and he could play a part, you know, along with Lucamine, for example, being sort of, you know, antagonists again, possibly there. Another idea. Let me know down below in the comment section what you think might be the best way to deal with Colress in the updated games and in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, if of course he is to return at all. If you don't think he's going to come back, do let me know that as well. Be interesting to see. But yeah, just figured I'd have a little video doing about Colress. But this is watch this. Okay, it's gonna be it for me for today. So I'll thank you for watching. I'll be seeing you next time. Goodbye, my friend.